Okay, a very good afternoon again for the second class that is on your paper SOM 625 Urban Sociology. So in the last class we talked about the urban aspects, what are the main drivers of urban sociology or the urban society issues in India. So the problems of urban India, what we have seen across is that how this paper, the paper talks about various issues. So let us see the main objectives. The main objectives, what we can see is the growth, the classification, and the dynamics. So in Unit 16, we will mainly talks about the evolution of Indian cities from the medieval Sultanate to Mughal periods, functional typology of cities, the administrative, commercial, and the religious, and the dynamics that is since 18 to 20, analyzing migration, slums, poverty, and policy interventions. So the medieval cities and growth, the Sultanate urban revolution, the Sultanate uh, uh, the Sultanate urban revolution from the medieval cities and growth. We have seen that from the medieval cities and growth, the the Sultanate urban revolution. Muhammad Habib described the 13th 15th century as the period of rapid expansion. The key drivers include establishment of ICTA headquarters as urban nuclei, introduction of Persian techniques, the spinning wheel, the paper manufacture, shift from nomadic army camps to settle masonry built capital like Delhi, Lucknow, so these are the various 13th, 15th century of the Sultanate urban revolutions. When we talk about the Mughal social composition, they were includes the ruling elite, the mercantile class, the professional layer, and the artisans and the laborers. The ruling elite mainly composite of nobility, princes, and high-ranking officials living in sprawling palaces and gardens. They were the primary consumers of high-end luxury crafts and produced in specialized karkhanas. The mercantile class, the the mercantile class includes a diverse group including saraf, bankers, brokers, and merchants. In Ahmedabad alone, 84 castes of merchants were recorded, illustrating the complexities of trade network. The professional layer, the intellectual, physician, poets, and musicians. While high value as cultural symbols, many remain impoverished and entirely dependent on royal patronage for survivals. The artisans and laborers, the largest demographic comprising individual craftsmen, construction masons, and domestic servants who face seasonal shifts and subsistence living standards. The largest demographic comprising individual craftsmen. When we try to see classification of Indian cities, the classification of Indian cities, primary functions, the historical examples, and then it talks about the various historical examples, the administrative center of governance, tax collection, military control, Delhi, Pataliputra, Lucknow, Chandigarh, the commercial nodes of trade, guilds, and manufacturing hubs. So, if we see the classification of Indian cities from early on, the category include the administratives, commercial, religious, strategic. The administratives, which we see, the primary functions, the center of governance, tax collection, military control, the historical place where Delhi, Pataliputra, Lucknow, Chandigarh, the commercial, the nodes of trades, guilds, and manufacturing hubs, which we see where the Calicut, Ahmedabad, Surat, Mumbai, and the religious pilgrimage destination and centers of cultural rituals, Varanasi, Mathura, Puri, Rameswaram. The strategy, military stronghold and border garrison, the Atop, Asirgarh, Gwalior Fort, Delhi, Lucknow, Chandigarh were the centers of governance, tax collection, and military controls. The nodes of trade guilds and manufacturing hubs like Calicut, Ahmedabad, Surat, Mumbai were the commercial examples of what in terms can be seen. So let us see the other face of the sacred cities and pilgrimage. The mandala network. Religion has been a unique catalyst for urbanization in India. The geographer classify three centers into three types: the tirtha, the sacred sites near rivers of water bodies for ritual purification; uh, the Sakti Pithas, the locations linked to specific deities or shrine. Tirtha, sacred sites near rivers or water bodies for ritual purification. Tirtha. Sakti Pithas, location linked to specific deities or shrine. Mandala sites, the pan-Indian hubs like Badrinath or Rameshwar, the devotee must visit once in a lifetime. Badrinath or Rameshwar, devotees pan-India hubs like Badrinath, Rameshwar. Sakti Pithas, the locations, the tirtha nearby the rivers, bodies for purification. Sakti Pithas, the shrines or the deities. Mandala sites like the Badrinath or Rameswaram. So the causes of internal migrations have been always the employment economic, that is the primary pool. It have up to 85% of it. The marriage, that is 70% social factor of it, and the education, that is amenities, that is 45 quality of life. The disaster push factor, that is 30% survival. Kundu notes that migration is a survival strategy for the poor and accumulation strategy for the rich. So, mobility dynamics in India. Total migrants, as per the 2001 census, it was about 304 million. Rural to rural remained the largest flow, that is about 64%, dominated by marriage-related family movement. Rural to urban migration accounts 17.7% of flow, fueled by the urban wage gap. Interstate migration is concentrated in industrial states like Maharashtra, Delhi, and Gujarat. So, besides there is also a slums issue which lives in the shadows. Like the slums are not just as a lack of planning; they are integral to modern urbanization. And the key challenges include tenure insecurity. 50% of slums are non-notified, leaving residents prone to eviction, overcrowding. Extreme density leads to rapid spread of infectious diseases. The resource strain, the lack of pipe water results in 85% food insecurity in many settlements. So, if we see the slums are not just a lack of planning, they are integral to modern urbanization, but at the same time, the key challenges includes always, whether in terms of the eviction issues, the overcrowding issues, or the resource strain, which are like the water resources tree. So if we try to look at the various pillars of what these poverty burdens can become life in the shadows, the geography of poverty we see in terms of the small towns, the medium towns, and the mega cities. The small towns, which includes a very high poverty, the medium towns, which include this moderate, and the mega cities lowest proportion. Instead, what it is an interesting case here is that the small towns try instead constitute the highest poverty. The medium towns moderate, the mega cities that is lowest proportion. So this is ultimately the complete thing. So now the small towns exhibit higher poverty rates due to lack of infrastructure, diversified jobs. The urban employment patterns. The urban employment patterns. The regular salary, the highest economic security but limited access. The regular salary, the highest community security but limited access. So if we see the urban employment patterns, the regular salary includes about 39.5%, the self-employed includes 45.4%, the eventual casual laborers include 15%. So regular salary like the highest economic security but limited access. The self-employed that is 45.4 includes petty store owners or rickshaw pullers and vendors. Casual laborers that is 15% faces 55% poverty rate, the most vulnerable urban segment. So that is what we have seen throughout the history, the urban interventions history. From 1979, the IDSMT focused on small and medium town to slow metro expansion. The 1989, the Nehru Rozgar Yojana for urban micro enterprises. 1996, the National Slum Development targeting basic physical amenities. The 2005, the Motion Mission Urban Renewal with 23 mandatory reforms. So uh, this have been the small medium enterprises, the urban intervention history, which we have seen across the history, which plays a very important role. But with this, the urban aspect, I want to show you a very quick video of it where I want you to kindly go through it and try to see what this, uh, the theoretical point of view of this urban. So what we can see, like what we can see from the video also is that the idea that which need to be. I'll show you once more. The idea what need to be important is that in uh, the urban way of life, what we have seen in the problems of urban India especially is that what we have seen from the urban way of life is that, so if we see the theoretical point of view, like the Chicago schools in terms of the urban issues and problems have been functioning with the Albion Small founding in 1890 or something like that, or the and then coming with Burgess in 1925 with his work on the city, where he focuses on how the concentration zone theory, where with the expansion of cities, the concentration zones of the cities expanded as well with the people with the transitioning of the mobility as well. And then and then this concentration zone where there is a loop, the center, the business center, and then with the transition center and the working site, and then the commuters and the outer layers. So in the suburbs. So with that focus with Burgess, and then comes like uh, the George Simmel of his idea of metropolis and mental life. How this metropolis, he tried to understand the way of the urban structure in the city and the life behavior, where certain people who come from rural to urban might have certain nervous issues, or and the city have certain people which dwell and the system which have created this kind of a bias attitude which is say, and also which have structured in the city itself. It's kind of a calculating one and rationalized process, and how the money economy have made the dwellers into such a kind of a distinct lifestyle. And then comes with the James Stephens, researchers Ferdinand Donis, and Harvey talks about in terms of the restructuring of space with the industries that have come, of course, and with this space, they have restructured the space of the city, they have restructured the space of uh, the people, whether in terms of the behaviors where the whites try to stay in the suburbs. So these are the way, and then which we see in terms of the middle castles talks about in terms of the idea, the idea of uh, the idea of uh, the urbanism and urban social movement, how these conflicting interests in the city. Listen to Lewis talks about in terms of the urbanism as way of life, or Lewis what urbanism in terms of the density, size, and heterogeneity. Urbanism as the way of life. Urbanism as the way of life, and then we see the have Harvey sold the relationship to economic change. The city and countryside, the space is constantly changing. Business farms are constantly looking for strategic locations. place this disruption. And urbanism started with different groups, like it can be uh, urban problem can start social movement, urban problem can start urbanism and urban social movement, they express the struggles and conflict in different groups. Yeah, there is in terms of Berger's idea of concentric zone model, where he believes that model of city growth, where the city uh, expanded through a series of concentric circles. Concentric zone model lives with urbanism way of life, lives in the metropolis and mental life, the metropolis and mental life, and the restructuring of space, how the there's the division which is still countryside. He believes that the environment was strongly influenced by spread of industrial and the sense of in relation to politics and economic things. Space is constantly being restructured. Urbanism and social movement. Thank you so much. Many of you have left. I will send you the materials in the group, and you go through it. And in your email also you'll find as well. Thank you so much.